with a 30 tropical storm Ophelia making landfall in North Carolina. And taking a live look at the Virginia Beach ocean front where waves are choppy because of the strong winds. Virginia now under a state of emergency. Plus, back here at home, we are tracking a low-end tornado threat as Ophelia moves through on this first alert weather day. We do have team coverage for you this morning as we deal with this storm. Our reporter Henry Graff is on your side giving us the latest on conditions in our area. But first, let's get over to Rachel Myers and Andrew Frieden with a closer look at what we can expect this weekend. So, Rachel, how's it looking so far?
Stepping out the door right now, I will say that it's feeling like a typical rainy, breezy start to a Saturday. Not tracking in our area severe weather so far. We haven't had many storm reports. We have seen some power outages, a few downed trees, and there is going to be pooling and ponding when you get out on the roads this morning. But aside from that, we've been fairly on the quieter side. We did have some tornado warnings off in North Carolina. I'll show you where on the radar here in just a second. First alert weather day today for inland and coastal flooding, so we are still tracking the potential of some heavy rounds of rain this afternoon and this evening. Wind gusts to 40 miles per hour are possible, especially as that center of the storm creeps closer later today. And again, tornadoes are possible, still a possibility, but it is a very low-end threat. Here's where Tropical Storm Ophelia is right now. It made landfall close to Emerald Isle along the coastal coast of North Carolina, now continues to push further and further inland. Near where the center of that storm is, they're seeing 50, almost 60 mile per hour wind gusts right now. We haven't quite hit that range quite yet, but we could as we head through the later half of our day. The track does take it up to I-95 still and then pushes it offshore closer to Atlantic City. Zooming into first alert Doppler radar, you can see these scattered showers are mainly just light to moderate. We aren't seeing any downpours, especially heavy right now. Through the city of Richmond, you may run into a spotty sprinkle. Petersburg, same deal. Out towards the northern neck and middle peninsula, we're seeing some steadier rain. And then south of Petersburg, we're seeing some wider spread areas of rain. Up into Fork Union, Fluvanna County, seeing some light showers right now. So some dry spots in the area. Current wind gusts anywhere from 20 to 33 miles per hour for the city of Richmond. And again, back towards the Carolina coast, we're seeing those wind gusts at 40 to 50. So we could see some higher wind gusts as we head into this afternoon. We'll continue to track it for you. And Andrew is here with some more stuff.
Yeah, we look at the rain total. So we, Rachel said, hey, it just kind of seems like a breezy, rainy morning, no huge deal. And you may wake up and think, okay, I can deal with this. We think the heavy rain is on its way. The biggest rain totals that we're going to get here are going to be happening closer to midday into the early portion of the afternoon. In fact, the average accumulation over the Richmond metro area is only 0.3 of an inch, about an inch or so in this line from Greenville County up towards southern Prince Edward County, and a lot of heavy rain in southeastern Virginia from Franklin all the way down to where that storm made landfall, where Rachel told you down there in southern North Carolina. And a change in our forecast over the past 24 hours has had us pushing the rain forecast out west of town to about an inch or two early yesterday morning. Now basically just as much out west as there could be east of town. In fact, in Louisa, that's our highest BNW Builders WeatherNet computer number at 1.44 inches, almost an inch and a half of rain, while a lot of places are well less than an inch. In Prince George, only a quarter of an inch. No lightning, and we don't think there's going to be much. There's a little chance that we could get some lightning. I think for most folks, we're just going to get rain during the day today, and of course that wind as well. And the flood warnings, the storm surge warning and the coastal flood warnings sitting on top of each other. This storm surge warning is all the areas right along the bay. And we've had reports of the water pushing in 2 to 4 feet of storm foot. Oh, that says inches. It's 2 to 4 feet storm surge warning. And then a coastal flood advisory for 1 to 3 feet of water pushing inland. These are our tidal creeks, rivers, and streams. Even all the way up to Petersburg and Hopewell, where the Appomattox is tidal, you could see a coastal surge of about 2 feet or so. So we're going to, through the next 24 hours, be dealing with the rain from the system, and coming up in a few moments, Rachel's going to be here to look at the hour-by-hour forecast, take you through the day, and watch that heavy rain move in. Raven, back over to you.
All right, Andrew, sounds good. We'll check back in. Thank you. And continuing our team coverage, Henry Graff is live for us this morning in Richmond with a look at current conditions and what he's seeing out on the roads. Henry, I know you saw ponding earlier this morning. What are you seeing now?
Raven, good morning to you. Yeah, the rain letting up, as both Rachel and Andrew were saying, but the breeze picking up here in Richmond right now. We're down by Browns Island. I'll step out of the way so you can kind of see what we're seeing right now. Some breezes, moving the trees around just a little bit. The James River down there in the background right now. I've been in touch with emergency communication folks in Richmond and in Henrico and Chesterfield. They're all telling me the same thing right now. Very minimal issues with trees down and power lines at this point in time, though. They caution that will change as the morning picks up here. Now, we do have some new video just into the newsroom showing a tree down, this in the 7700 block of Hill Drive. Now, at this point in time, also checking in with Chesterfield, they tell me there's a number of issues with trees down in roadways at this point in time as well. And Henrico telling me they haven't had many issues up to this point with the winds, the trees, and the down power lines. Also, we had video from not long ago this morning too. The other issue out here, ponding on the roadways. As the rain picks up, we'll see more of that. A GRTC bus rolling through some ponding water down on Belvedere near Cumberland Street earlier this morning. As the sun comes up now, you're able to see the road a little bit better and whatever debris or hazard might be in front of you. But of course, if you do encounter standing water, you should turn around and not try to go through it. Back out here live, you can see down by Browns Island, breezy at this point in time. The rain really has stopped. That's the good news for now. But the wind is picking up in this area. And of course, we will be out here monitoring the situation, checking in with those first responders, seeing where the problem areas are. And we'll give you an update coming up in our next half hour. For now, we're live and on your side this morning here in Richmond. I'm Henry Graff, NBC 12 News.
All right, Henry, sounds good. Thank you. And some households in the Richmond area already without power because of Ophelia this morning. Here's a look at some of the data around Virginia. Right now, Dominion Energy reporting nearly 14,000 outages at the moment. Rappahannock Electric only reporting over 15. Northern Neck Electric reporting nearly 600 outages. And Southside Electric getting calls for over 35 power losses. As we learn more on the number of outages, we'll be sure to bring you the latest updates as they come in. And crews have been out the last 24 hours preparing for Ophelia. Chantel Davis has a closer look at all that's being done to keep our lights on.
Crews at Dominion Energy are already working 24 hours around the clock, all to make sure that they are ready for any potential outages that may occur.
It's all hands on deck.
That's the motto for Dominion Energy crews and other power companies across central Virginia, at least for the next 48 hours. Tropical Storm Ophelia is expected to bring heavy rain and strong winds throughout the weekend, a recipe for disaster when it comes to your power.
At an event like this, we've got everybody that we employ is working tomorrow, tomorrow. And we have a network of contractors that we work with who are prepared to assist as well.
Dominion Energy says crews prepare for weather events like this all year, trimming trees that might fall on power lines or replacing pieces of equipment. Those are just some of the things they do before a major storm hits.
Now, really what we're doing is staging. So we're looking at the storm path and trying to determine where resources will most be needed.
Dominion Energy encourages you to prepare for the storm, too, offering some safety tips you should be aware of.
Say something about generator safety. Every storm, if you own a generator, make sure that you are using it in a well-ventilated area.
Another pre-storm tip you can be aware of comes from the American Red Cross.
Recommend that people take a video or pictures of the exterior of your home. That's important for if you do experience any damages from this event, you have a record of what your home looked like before the event occurred, and that can help you as you move through the process of working with insurance after the storm is felt.
The American Red Cross also suggests that if you need prescriptions filled or medical devices charged, that you take care of that before the storm rolls in. Other power companies like Rappahannock Electric Co-op are also mobilizing teams on the eve of the storm. Now, don't forget, if you have any downed trees or power outages, you can contact Dominion Energy or your local power company for further assistance. And if you need any help from American Red Cross, you can contact them for relief. On your side in Richmond, Chantel Davis, NBC 12 News.
And City of Richmond emergency management leaders tell us right now they are at an emergency action plan at level 2. This means they are working with state and city agencies to be prepared to respond to the storm in an effort to make sure everyone, including unhoused residents, are safe during this storm. The city has opened 9 different libraries as well as the Marshall Plaza building and Southside Community Services Center as shelters. Emergency Management Director Steve Willoughby says that they also have crews out assessing in case of flooding.
We're constantly monitoring. All of our agencies and departments are on alert, have created staffing plans to respond over the weekend. Some proactive measures that we've put in place is we're deploying barricades and signage in places where it typically floods so that those can be easily and quickly deployed.
Willoughby says out of an abundance of caution, the city also opened the first floor of City Hall on East Broad Street as the last place of refuge for those who don't have a place to go. Meanwhile, another case of rabies in Henrico. Now, this makes 9 cases now for the county this year. Police say the most recent incident involved a fox and happened on Wednesday on Recreation Road. Officers say the fox had an altercation with dogs and cats, and during that fight, the owner got scratched trying to separate the animals. Police urging you to keep your pets vaccinated. The next rabies clinic is scheduled for October 21st. And staying in Henrico, police tell us the teen who was stabbed at a bus stop Thursday morning is still in the hospital. The incident happened in a Weston neighborhood at the intersection of Fair Lake Lane and Fair Lake Court. Right now, there is still no suspect description, but police say if you do know anything, call Crime Stoppers. That number 804-780-1000. Yesterday was the first day of early voting, and there's a new effort to pull a Richmond casino off the ballot. The Good Lions charity is appealing a judge's decision to allow the referendum. The group operates a bingo hall on the south side, and it argues the casino would decimate its charitable gaming operation. It also claims the mayor and city council violated the state constitution by not running the new casino plan through a competitive bidding process. Last month, the judge ruled that the Good Lions had no right to intervene. And just ahead, a bus crash on I-84 in New York took the lives of 2 and left 22 others injured. What investigators know about the crash so far.
And we're tracking a rainy and windy day today, so probably not the best day for golf. Temperatures will stay on the cooler side, only making it into the 60s for most of central Virginia. We'll time out what's in store for the rest of your Saturday when we come back.
And watch in Moscow always get the mule. Vodka this good is an American jewel. Wheatley, so good I drink it neatly.
Shopping for insurance.
The unexpected can happen to any of us. That's why SelectQuote makes it easy to get the life insurance coverage you need to protect your family for less than $1 a day. Now get up to a $2 million term life policy with no medical exam and same-day coverage. Make sure your family is protected from the unexpected.
Visit SelectQuote.com now. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
This is my coffee shop. And that's me in my custom shirt from Custom Ink. This week, we moved into a new, bigger space and brought on another employee. To celebrate, I ordered new branded gear for the whole team. Everything was so easy to make with Custom Ink's Design Lab. I just chose my products, added our logo, and placed my order. Our new gear really helps us look and feel like a team. Bring your own team together with custom gear. Get started today at customink.com.
When you live with diabetes, getting your carb count right can be tricky. That's why the MiniMed 780G is the only system with meal detection technology that automatically corrects if you undercount your carbs or occasionally miss a meal dose.
There are a lot of us now, and it means so much when we can all be together, especially when we can do something good, like our yearly service project. We're also running a t-shirt fundraiser through Custom Ink to help raise more money and awareness for the cause. Our t-shirt fundraiser with Custom Ink makes it easy to share our campaign and help our community. And their design services team helped us get a design we love. I'm proud that we can make a difference together as a community. Come together for a cause. Get started today at customink.com.
Custom Ink helps us celebrate and drive our students' achievements with custom gear. They love Custom Ink's different styles and designs. We love how Custom Ink makes the process simple with their easy-to-use design lab, expert artists ready to help, and unbeatable customer service. Custom Ink allows our kids to show everyone their accomplishments and the pride they have in our school. When we place an order, I know they got our back, so we can focus on the kids.
Custom Ink has hundreds of products to help you feel connected. Upload your logo or start your design today at customink.com.
All right, welcome back. Time now is 8:43 on our Saturday morning, and I wanted to show you today's forecast. I feel like we haven't shown this graphic enough to just plan out the rest of your day. We do have rain in the forecast at any point. Sometimes it will be lighter than others, like right now we're not seeing much out there, but a heavier batch of rain is expected to move in as we head through the later half of our day. And on First Alert Doppler radar, we already have some heavier showers back to our east that are expected to track towards and closer to the I-95 corridor. By noon today, 64, we're not warming up much. And notice those sustained winds out of the east-northeast, 20 miles per hour, sometimes at 30 miles per hour, but gusting up to 40 miles per hour possible. Closer to the bay, you could see some gustier winds anywhere from 45 to 50. 65 degrees, 2 o'clock this afternoon. We have nearly 100% chance for rain at that point. 6 o'clock this evening, still tracking that near 100% chance for rain. Temperatures hanging out near 66 degrees. First Alert Doppler radar. Notice how over the city of Richmond, not much right now, but back to the south and east. Here's where we have those brighter colors, those yellows, those oranges. Those are indicating heavier downpours. And notice the motion of those. They're headed west. So Tri-Cities, Richmond could see around a batch of some heavier rain here shortly, but right now just stepping out the door to some spotty showers. Hour by hour forecast today, there's that heavier batch of rain. This forecast model has done a really great job of timing the rain out. So 10 o'clock this morning, we could be seeing those heavier downpours, and I think heavier rain will be off and on through the rest of the afternoon and into the evening hours. The rain finally lets up a bit overnight. Those winds should die down, and we should have a mainly dry day tomorrow. Raven, over to you.
All right, Rachel, sounds good. Thank you. Meanwhile, 5 New York high school students still in critical condition this morning after a bus crash that killed their band director and one of their chaperones. State police say 22 students have been released from the hospital, and now authorities are asking anyone who witnessed the crash to come forward. Emily Schmidt tells us federal investigators are joining the search into what went wrong.
National Transportation Safety Board investigator John Humm says he will spend the next week studying what caused this bus to leave I-84 and plunge around 50 feet.
Our goal is to find out what happened, why it happened, and to make safety recommendations to reduce the chance that this sort of accident never happens again.
Dozens of students were injured. Band director Gina Pelletieri and retired teacher Beatrice Ferrari did not survive.
All I saw was a horrific scene.
We had numerous victims. We had a bust down an embankment.
Authorities said Thursday a preliminary investigation suggests a faulty front tire may have contributed to the crash. NTSB investigators say it's too early to know more. Investigators will focus on 3 elements: the vehicle, the motor carrier and driver, whom Humm says the NTSB has not yet interviewed, and the crashworthiness of the bus.
It's still too early at this point to know what the seatbelt usage was for both the driver and the victims, the occupants in the vehicle, but that's something that I'll specifically be looking at.
Humm says this kind of bus typically has dash cameras, but it's uncertain if there are recordings here. One of the first responders says he won't forget what he saw. A community member says they won't forget what first responders did.
A heartfelt thanks to everybody up in Orange County. They saved our kids' lives.
I'm Emily Schmidt reporting.
And a continued shortage of commonly used kids' antibiotics is worrying parents here in the U.S. Amoxicillin is the most prescribed one in the country. It's typically used to treat children for strep, chest, and sinus infections and earaches. According to the FDA, the drug is still in short supply. Some analysts say the shortage is because of the drug's low price point. It's not as profitable for manufacturers to make, so they focus on other drugs. We are on your side tracking a troubling health trend. West Nile virus has been reported in almost every state in the U.S. 750 of those cases have been extremely severe, according to the CDC. Colorado is getting hit the hardest, losing at least 20 people to the virus so far this year. And just earlier this week, a mosquito tested positive for West Nile and Norfolk. While there is no vaccine, health experts say there are steps you can take to protect yourself and your family.
So that's why it's really important for people to check their yards or their houses for standing water, because all it takes is just a week or less for a mosquito to develop from the egg to adult.
And if you are planning on going hiking or spending time by the water soon, experts say wear long sleeves and pants to protect yourself from bites. Well, coming up, the Washington Commanders on a red-hot start, beginning the season 2-0. But will they be able to keep that up against their next opponent? And here is a live look outside of our studio. Andrew Frieden will have your complete First Alert forecast on our First Alert Weather Day coming right up after the break.
Friends have been telling friends about Colonial Penn Guaranteed Acceptance Whole Life Insurance for more than 50 years. And with good reason. If you're between the age of 50 and 85, it's a sure thing. Your acceptance is guaranteed because full benefits are not paid in the first 2 years. And the price? Options start at $9.95 a month, less than 35 cents a day. With Colonial Penn, your rate is another sure thing. It will never increase. And you should know this coverage can last a lifetime.
Visit colonialpenn.com for free information and a free gift.
And watching Moscow always get the mule. Vodka this good is an American jewel. Wheatley, so good I drink it neatly. And watching Moscow always get the mule. Vodka this good is an American jewel. Wheatley, so good I drink it neatly.
Good Saturday morning on a First Alert Weather Day. These are a couple of pictures from our friend Chip Holt. He lives out in Deltaville. Deltaville is on the Middle Peninsula. It's in the easternmost portion of Middlesex County. It's a fishing and boating community, and it is a low-lying community. And there are spots that typically flood when there's a storm surge. And this is the street behind Chip's house there, and you can see the water moving in. This was with this morning's high tide cycle. There's going to be another high tide cycle later in the day, and that's the one that has the potential for a lot of you out there watching along the tidal creeks and streams and, of course, the bay. that high tide cycle this afternoon might be a touch higher than the one that you had so far this morning. Then after that, things should be getting better as the storm system moves into Richmond, or the center of it does, and then we're going to get winds that'll sort of push that water out of the bay. So that's what it looks like for a lot of those areas. Now, the storm surge forecast, all the areas in yellow here, going up the Potomac River, going up the Piankatake, the Wicomico River, heading up the Rappahannock, all the way to Tappahannock, up the York River to West Point, up the James River, all the way to Hopewell, and all the way to Petersburg even. There's a decent little storm surge there, so be ready for that. So you have some flooding coming as the water from the bay is pushed inland. Then we have a flood watch. We basically think everybody's going to be somewhere in that 2 to 4 inch range. And if there's an area where there's some training of downpours on top of the same spot in the afternoon, maybe a 5 inch or 6 inch rain total. But the flood watch is in place just to let you know that there may be high water just about anywhere. And the severe weather threat has been cut back a little bit, but we're going to be watching, and we're committed to watching even overnight. Nick stayed very late last night. Rachel got in early, and we're going to be overlapping our shifts again through the day today to watch for the potential that we could spin up a tornado. There is no tornado watch. We don't expect there to be one. The chance is on the really low end, but it's something we'll continue to watch through the afternoon. In fact, there was one already, one warning down in North Carolina. So the rain here, that light green indicates the rain's no big deal for most of us right now, just regular rain, but the thicker rain, heavier rain is now starting to push across the North Carolina state line. The bulk of that heavy rain is now within the borders of North Carolina, but coming up into Southern Virginia. And this track may be a little bit misleading. Had someone called the weather office yesterday, and we talked about this for a bit. Talked about how, the area of low pressure, the center of the storm, looks like it'll be south of Richmond at 2 a.m. This is early tomorrow morning, and still pretty close into the afternoon on Sunday. So you'd be thinking you'd have big impacts during that time frame. Well, what's happening with this system is almost all of the rain will be on the northern side of it. So even when the area of low pressure is nearby, the winds will be gusty, but the rain chance is going to be lowering in a big way. So today, just not warming up much, into the mid-60s. The rain chance close to 100%. In particular, once we get closer to midday, we really think about 10 in the morning through about 3 or so in the afternoon is when most of us are going to get our biggest rain amount. So let's check the hour-by-hour forecast. So here's that chunk of rain coming in. This is a midday rain forecast that just basically have a lot of us with moderate to heavy rain. And then with the area of low pressure coming across the North Carolina state line, the rain chance keeps coming. And there are actually some recent signs that areas west of 95 will keep the rain going longer than you will east of town. And then that rain just keeps on pouring, or lighter rain as you head into the midnight time frame. So tonight's rain chance at 100%, 59 for the overnight low temperature. The hour-by-hour forecast for the day tomorrow basically has not much of a rain chance. It'll be cloudy, it'll be breezy, a touch warmer in the low 70s, but we only have about a 20% chance at a passing shower. You look at the 7-day forecast, and there is no summer. And by the way, happy fall. Fall began at 2 o'clock in the morning. We're in autumn now, and boy, is this 7-day forecast devoid of any heat whatsoever. Tomorrow, 71, Monday, mid-70s, low 70s for most of the days next week. That is a cool week, even for the first full week of autumn. And each day with an easterly breeze, lots of clouds, and a possibility of a few passing showers. It doesn't look like any washouts in the week ahead, but it also does not look like we'll have any warmth at all. Let's head back over to Raven.
All right, Andrew, thank you. Well, it is week 3 in the NFL, and it always feels better when you're coming in at 2-0. That's exactly where Commanders find themselves as the Buffalo Bills come to town this Sunday. Washington rallied from an 18-point first half deficit to beat the Broncos in week 2. Meanwhile, Buffalo comes into this game fresh off a blowout win over the Raiders. The test in this game, can Washington's running backs get anything going against the Bills' defense? The answer to that question could determine the outcome in this one when the two teams meet at FedEx Field on Sunday. And we are taking a live look outside on this first alert weather day. We'll have more news and weather coming right up after this.
And watch in Moscow always get the mule. Vodka this good is an American jewel. Wheatley is so good, I drink it neatly. Wash in Moscow always get the mule. Vodka this good is an American jewel. Wheatley, so good I drink it neatly.
Should I be selling right now? I gotta get a bigger place. What's my house worth? What do you think? What's my house really worth?
Do we need to renovate?
How do I buy a house?
What if I don't have time to see it in person?
What is going on with this housing market?
Don't worry. I can take the guesswork out of it.
Before we had Live 360, I was coming home from work one day. We didn't know Kendra had practice. I was calling her phone, she's not picking up. Calling him, he's on a conference call. Not knowing where Kendra was, I got really scared.
I got bubbles in my stomach.
Yeah, bubbles in my stomach. And that's when I said, we need to get Live 360.
The app gives me more independence because I don't have to keep checking in all the time because the app already tells them.
I like the battery feature on Live 360 because I can tell when her battery is low. I could tell her to charge her phone. We feel calmer because we know she's safe.
This is NBC 12 News Today.
Now at 9, Tropical Storm Ophelia making landfall in North Carolina. And here at home, we are tracking a low-end tornado threat as Ophelia moves through on this first alert weather day. We do have team coverage for you. And this morning, as we deal with this storm, our reporter Henry Graff is on your side, giving us the latest on conditions in our area. But first, let's get right over to Rachel Myers and Andrew Frieden with a closer look at what we can expect this weekend. Rachel, what's the latest?
As around 6:30 this morning is when we saw the center of Tropical Storm Ophelia move onshore near Emerald Isle, North Carolina. We're continuing to see the bulk of the rainfall out north ahead of the system. It's expected to track north and into central Virginia, and I think our heaviest rain is yet to come. So as the center of the storm tracks closer to us, we'll increase our rain chances. This afternoon, overnight, the center of the storm is taking up the I-95 corridor before making that right turn out closer and pushing offshore, weakening as it pushes towards the Atlantic once again. Doppler radar right now, most of the area will start to see some heavier rain over the next couple of hours. We're saying 10 o'clock, so maybe an hour. 10 a.m. is when we'll start to see that rain really pick up, we think, for the city of Richmond. Right now, just a few light showers. Mechanicsville, some light rain. Midlothian, a few spotty sprinkles. The city itself seeing a few light showers as well. Down closer to Petersburg, we're seeing widespread light rain. And look back to your southeast. Notice those brighter colors in that larger area of rain. I do think we'll see that move up closer to Petersburg, Hopewell, as we head through the next hour or so. Northern Neck, Middle Peninsula, for King and Queen, Essex, Richmond County, we're seeing some light to moderate scattered showers. Wind gusts right now are their highest for the Northern Neck. We're probably looking at a 30 to 35 mile per hour wind gusts right now. For the city of Richmond, 32 mile per hour wind gusts, 28 for Petersburg. And Andrew, we haven't seen the heaviest of our rain yet, but we've seen some decent rain totals for some spots, right?
Yeah, and it's been out west. For the most part, our big rain totals have been on the western side of town. Also some downpours down toward Virginia Beach, but Louisa's in an inch and a half of rain for Goochland, 6/10 of an inch, and Prince George, 1/4 of an inch. Now, there was some before midnight as well, but I think that was less than 1/2 an inch. So the biggest rain totals you heard Megan say, you heard Rachel say, will be happening as we go toward 10 in the morning through about 3. We think during that time frame, as the area of low pressure gets closer and closer, we're going to start to see these higher rain totals. But for most of us, it's less than 1/2 an inch of rain. It's down toward Virginia Beach. They've had more than that. We've had about an inch on our southern tier, so much more to come. That's where the heavy rain's been down in North Carolina. But as we have a flood watch in effect for all of us, we don't think it's going to be widespread flooding. There'll be pockets potentially where the water climbs up out of the creeks and streams. So lightning detection, no lightning. I think that's an important part of this, is that there's a lot of impacts as this tropical storm goes over top of us. The biggest impacts will be happening during the day today. But lightning, severe weather, not really a big concern. There's only a small chance of that tornado warning. And the storm surge warning, which, by the way, yesterday when I saw these, it kind of took me a little bit aback, and then went back and sort of realized that I haven't seen a storm surge warning before, because this is the first time the National Weather Service in Wakefield has used it. It used to just be a coastal flood warning. So there's a coastal flood warning for the more inland sections that aren't really going to feel that strong ocean surge. But from Richmond County all the way down through Prince George, Petersburg, and even Hopewell have those coastal flood warnings. So water is going to go up maybe 2 to 3 feet in the Appomattox River for Hopewell and Petersburg. Storm surge is an issue. We had a big push this morning. We're going to have another push, we think, as we head into the afternoon. And the big rain is working its way towards us right in the middle of the day. But there's a way this thing works out here that a lot of folks get a bunch of rain, some wind, but hopefully we can keep the flooding and the power outages to a minimum. And that's the way it looks so far. There have been some power outages, but we don't think that there's been a whole lot out there. And the rain has been manageable so far. Raven, let's head back over to you.
All right, Andrew, thank you. We'll check back in a little bit. And continuing our team coverage, Henry Graff is live for us this morning in Richmond with a look at current conditions. And Henry, what are you seeing right now?
Raven, good morning to you. Yeah, I mean, the rain's picking up a little bit now here in downtown Richmond. The wind definitely in the past half hour has picked up, and you can see it's kind of taking its toll on the trees here a little bit, whipping them around, but those trees pretty steady, a lot of roots there, so they don't seem like they're going to be going anywhere anytime soon. I did just get off the phone with the governor's office asking them about a storm update. They just had a big meeting talking about kind of what happened overnight. So far, so good. Is the message I'm getting, though. The governor's office is reiterating that the rain and the main winds still have not hit the Metro Richmond area yet, and so people need to be careful of that if they're looking outside right now and think, hey, look, it's just a little breezy, little rain. It's definitely going to change as the morning goes on. In terms of the city of Richmond, we have about 5 downed trees right now across the city. I'm told Public Works crews out on alert, making sure those trees are being chopped up and moved so that they can have a clear roadway. One of those trees we saw on the city's west side of town, down near Riverside Drive, Hill Drive area. There was a tree down blocking the road there. It was a residential area, and in the back area there were only a couple other homes at that location being impacted by that downed tree. The other issue, ponding, water ponding. We've been seeing all across the area, including on Belvedere Street down near Cumberland. We were watching cars this morning when it was dark outside, having a hard time not seeing it and just plowing through that water, knocking it over everywhere. Also, I've been checking in with Henrico and Chesterfield emergency responders. They all tell me the same thing as well at this point in time, Raven, which is while we're experiencing some rain, we are experiencing some wind, no major issues at this point in time across the roads, aside from a few downed trees here and there. But of course, as you're waking up and trying to navigate out today, if you can stay indoors, please do that. But if you are going to be out, make sure you take caution, because there is stuff in the roadway. There's debris, there's leaves, small twigs and branches, things you just want to be mindful of. Of course, we'll keep a check on it for you from out here. For now, we are live and on your side this morning here in downtown Richmond. I'm Henry Graff, NBC 12 News.
All right, great advice, Henry. Thank you. We are already seeing power outages across Virginia. Here's a look at some of the numbers. Dominion Energy reporting over 14,000 outages at the moment. Rappahannock Electric only reporting 18. Northern Neck Electric reporting nearly 600 customers without power. And Southside Electric getting calls for over 35 outages. Of course, we'll be sure to bring you the latest updates as they come in. And we are on your side with some other cancellations because of this weather. Beer Garden at Maymont still on for tonight starting at 6, but today's event has been canceled. And soccer fans, the Richmond Kickers game today being pushed to Sunday. Match time will be 4 p.m. With strong winds and heavy rain expected to continue through the day, you need to have a plan in place just in case something goes wrong. Jennifer Blake spoke with community members about how they've been preparing for Ophelia.
After that big Thursday storm that we were not prepared for, watch out for each other.
Residents are making sure they're ready for whatever damage the storm brings. Emily McMillan lives in the Woodland Heights neighborhood. She tells me her neighbors were getting ready for high amounts of rain.
But I've talked to several on my block today, and there's been a few people out draining rain barrels. That way we can ensure that they're catching flow, making sure debris is out of the street.
Doing that could possibly prevent flooding in certain yards or damage from wind picking up debris. McMillan says it's also important you're taking into account the layout of your home and neighborhood.
As in an older neighborhood too, our houses are closer together. We have a lot of storm water runoff that happens from one patio to the next patio. Just make sure you're being cognizant of your neighbors too.
That was Jennifer Blake reporting. And remember, if your power goes out, report it to Dominion Energy. And if you can, check on your neighbors this morning, especially if they're elderly or alone. And our cameras were in Deltaville earlier yesterday to capture some of the choppy waves in the Middle Peninsula. Many of the neighbors we talked with said they were not pulling their boats out and just leaving them where they are. However, one man says he thinks that's a mistake. Charlie Towns told us he took all of his outside furniture indoors and even tied his canoes to trees.
Based on that intensity, I decide whether or not I'm going to pull my boats and get them out. Boats that have a tuna tower on, things like that, can go all the way through the roof of your boathouse if your water gets high enough. So the first thing I did this morning was I pulled my boat, pulled my son's boat, took them and put one in the marina on the land.
And others have said they weren't expecting too much flooding, but Towns thinks that they might be surprised. And still to come, after the death of a 1-year-old at a daycare center, further investigation leads police to finding illegal drugs. What the caretakers are being charged with.
And on first alert Doppler radar this morning, we're seeing some light scattered showers, Petersburg and areas north. South of Petersburg, though, we're starting to see those rain rates pick up. I'll track that heavier rain through central Virginia in less than 10 minutes.
Life 360 is a game changer in our family.
I'm a single mom. I work full time.
I have 2 boys.
We're all pretty busy.
When we got this app, 50% of our stress was washed down the drain.
I think it helped me relax. At night, I would wake up with the app. I'm like, okay, they're home.
Even when we're far away, it makes me feel closer to them.
It makes me feel like the parent I want to be.
Life 360 should replace yoga. You don't need yoga if you have 360. It makes your life very simple.
Cindy Crawford still got it. Gorgeous. And her skin? Wow. Thanks to Meaningful Beauty Supreme, women are getting younger looking skin and raving about it.
I'm about to turn 50, and people absolutely can't believe it.
Look at the difference on crow's feet, forehead lines, and even neckline.
I can honestly say my skin looks better today than it did 5 years ago. That's a great feeling.
For free shipping and $110 in free gifts, go to meaningfulbeauty.com.
The path to business success is often unpredictable. Managing your bank account doesn't need to be. Find your flow with powerfully smooth banking that keeps you focused on bringing your vision to life. Wherever your company goes, Mercury is there with banking products like checking and savings accounts, debit and credit cards, wire transfers, and financing, all designed to scale with your company.
Watching Moscow always get the mule. Vodka this good is an American jewel. Wheatley, so good I drink it neatly.
There's always a next level. Something higher to aim for. It takes commitment to get there. And vision to even know it exists. How do I maintain the highest standards in everything I do? And then raise those standards once I reach them. It's about the choices that we make when we wake up each day. And then we make them all over again. Build to last.
Welcome back. Time now is 9:12. Rachel Myers is continuing to track Tropical Storm Ophelia as it moves up the East Coast. She breaks it all down for us on this first alert weather day. But first, illegal drugs, including fentanyl, stashed underneath a trap door. That's what authorities found inside the New York City daycare where a 1-year-old child died last week. 2 adults now indicted on murder charges as prosecutors say they were running a drug operation out of the daycare. Miles Miller has the latest on that investigation.
Crime scene detectives returned to the daycare drug den where a 1-year-old died of fentanyl poisoning on Friday. Inside, they discovered a trap door beneath the mats where kids slept. Inside, drug paraphernalia and traces of what they believe is fentanyl.
We have evidence to show that it was more than just a daycare center. It's clear that there was a drug operation that was happening there.
Bronx District Attorney Darcel Clark announcing today a Bronx grand jury has indicted Gray Mendez and Carlisto Acevedo Brito on murder charges.
We're going to have a date coming up within the next week or so where we'll unseal the indictment, and then I'll be able to talk to all the particulars about what happened in the particular case. So the investigation continues, even the recovery of evidence.
Inside court today, neither Mendez nor Brito appeared before a Bronx judge. They remain at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn after being charged this week on federal narcotics possession charges. Nearly a week ago, a 1-year-old died of fentanyl poisoning and 3 other kids were sickened when they were exposed to the drug.
Every single person in this county feels what those parents feel, that they entrusted that daycare center to take care of their children, and one of them ends up dead and 3 of them almost died. It's horrendous.
And that was Miles Miller reporting. As of this morning, the NYPD is still investigating the death of that young boy. And the site of one of the worst school shootings in our country's history will now be torn down. School officials in Florida say the 1200 building at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School will be demolished after this school year. It's been preserved as a crime scene since 2018 when a gunman killed 17 people and wounded 17 others. The shooter pleaded guilty and was sentenced to life in prison last year. And President Joe Biden is launching a new White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention to reduce gun violence. The new office will be overseen by Vice President Kamala Harris. Stephanie Feldman, a longtime policy advisor to President Biden on gun violence prevention, will serve as director. Now, the new office will allow for the implementation and expansion of executive and legislative action with the goal of saving lives. Striking writers ended this week without reaching an agreement with studios. Thursday's marathon negotiation session ended with no deal, as the WGA's work stoppage has now lasted more than 20 weeks. But according to reports, a deal could come sooner rather than later. On the picket lines, some writers say they're cautiously optimistic, but they're finally being taken seriously.
With the CEOs there, actually in negotiations, I feel like they realize I actually need to be present and actually hear what the writers and our workers are saying, because I don't think they really thought we were serious.
Hollywood's actors also remain on strike and don't appear close to reaching a deal with studios.
On this first alert weather day, we continue to track Tropical storm Ophelia as it's expected to track north and along I-95 as we head into this afternoon and evening. It gave us rain as early as 5 o'clock yesterday evening. It should continue to give us rain through the rest of the day today. We've had a nice little break where this rain has been pretty manageable, but we do have a heavier batch of rain, southern Virginia, expected to kind of swing through and impact the city of Richmond, Tri-Cities, and areas west as this continues to push northwest. So do expect some heavier downpours if you're in one of those drier areas right now. So for the city of Richmond, up into Mango, Hick, Mechanicsville, Ashland, Short Pump, Innsbrook, we're seeing some light rain. The city of Richmond, just a few spotty sprinkles. Varina running into a few light showers. And then Petersburg, seeing a good amount now of some steady light rain. Anywhere in Dinwiddie County along I-85, you'll find rain. Over into Prince George County, those showers a little bit fewer and further in between. Sussex, anywhere in Sussex, you'll run into rain. Same with Brunswick down into Greensville and Emporia as well. We're seeing some scattered light to moderate showers for the northern neck and middle peninsula right now in Richmond County, up into Westmoreland, seeing some rain. Essex County down into King William and King and Queen, seeing scattered light showers. Over into Cumberland County, it looks like anywhere in Cumberland you could run into some rain right now. Farmville, also seeing some light showers. This area in Cumberland County should push into Buckingham, so if you are in Buckingham County, expect that rain to pick up here shortly. Hour by hour forecast, there's those showers that are mainly in southern Virginia right now. That heavier rain could swing up into Richmond. 10, 11 o'clock this morning, multiple rounds of heavier downpours possible. That's where we could see an increase in that standing water on our roadways. So pooling, ponding, especially in our more urban areas and low-lying or poor drainage areas, we'll see that standing water continue to pick up. Into the afternoon hours, still watching for some heavy rounds of rain. That will continue through dinner time this evening. And then after that, I think the rain should start to lighten up, becoming more manageable once again. We'll see light showers pull north of the area as the center of Ophelia tracks north and away from the Commonwealth. By tomorrow morning, we're left behind with just a few lingering showers. Most of the area does look dry. If there's any cleanup to be done, I think tomorrow will be okay for that. Mostly cloudy skies, cool end to the weekend. Wind gusts already gusting right around 30 miles per hour. I think as we head through the rest of the day today, there is that chance that we could see a near 40-mile-per-hour wind gust, so power outages remain a possibility. We've already seen about an inch of rain in some locations. On top of the rain we've already seen, we could accumulate another inch to 2 inches. So flash flooding is a possibility. There is still a flood watch in effect for all of the viewing area. I want to get to our 7-day forecast because we do have some very seasonable fall weather coming up. These are below average temperatures, but it's going to be that fall-like feeling. 71 degrees Sunday, and then we're in the 70s all week long, Monday through Friday. We do have a 20% chance of a few showers each day, and I think we'll be mostly cloudy through the upcoming week as well. So once we're done with these heavier rounds of rain today, we're just watching for a few light showers Sunday through Friday. All right, Raven will be back with more news coming up after this break.
In person.
Hi.
Hey.
Are you ready for your virtual tour?
Yeah, I'd love to see it. Andy Bashir is flat out lying.
I've never supported gender reassignment surgery for kids.
That is false. Bashir sided with the radical left, allowing young children to undergo permanent gender-changing surgery.
Those procedures don't happen here in Kentucky.
Reports prove that gender-changing surgeries were done at this Lexington facility. Andy Bashir caught lying again. What else is he lying about?
I told myself I was okay with my moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis symptoms. But then I realized that just okay isn't okay, and I was done settling.
If you still have symptoms of RA after a TNF blocker like Humira or Enbrel, Rinvoq is different and may help. Rinvoq is a once-daily pill that can dramatically relieve RA symptoms, including fatigue for some, and Rinvoq can stop joint damage.
Rinvoq can lower your ability to fight infections, including TB, serious infections and blood clots, some fatal, cancers including lymphoma and skin cancer, death, heart attack, stroke, and tears in the stomach or intestines occurred. People 50 and older with at least one heart disease risk factor have higher risks. Don't take if allergic to Rinvoq, as serious reactions can occur. Tell your doctor if you are or may become pregnant.
Done settling?
Ask your rheumatologist for Rinvoq.
And take back what's yours.
Learn how AbbVie could help you save.
And Wash in Moscow always get the mule. Vodka this good is an American jewel. Wheatley, so good I drink it neatly.
Andy Bashir is flat out lying.
I've never supported gender reassignment surgery for kids.
That is false. Bashir sided with the radical left, allowing young children to undergo permanent gender-changing surgery.
Those procedures don't happen here in Kentucky.
Reports prove that gender-changing surgeries were done at this Lexington facility. Andy Bashir caught lying again. What else is he lying about?
Time now 9:22. Learning to swim can save your life, but it's not just about surviving, it's about thriving. This week on The Good Side, Deborah Alfarone introduces us to a teen helping kids float, freestyle, and flourish despite the odds.
When I was in the deep end, I thought I was going to lose control, that I was going to fall underwater, and nobody knew where I was, which had happened before.
10-year-old Nigel is swimming and splashing now, but he could have been one of the 4,000 people who drown every year in the U.S.
In fact, according to the CDC, black children 10 to 14 years old are nearly 8 times more likely to drown in a pool than white kids. This may look like your average pool day, but there's more going on beneath the surface.
Ready, go.
Welcome to WJA Swim Club, where kids aren't just overcoming odds, they're overcoming their fears.
When I swam all the way to the diving board and back, I didn't need my swim training instructor's help, and that helped me face my fears because fear isn't going to do nothing but hold you back from completing your goal.
You gotta swim back to me, Dylan.
Lindsay Alisbaugh of Maryland has been swimming competitively since she was 6 years old, and she's never looked back. Last year, the teen decided she wanted to give back.
Great job. Okay, Dylan, ready?
She grabbed her friends and teamed up with the Washington Jesuit Academy, a tuition-free private school teaching boys from low-income communities.
Why did you start the swim club?
Because I wanted to share my love for swimming with people who weren't as privileged to have the opportunities that I had when I was little.
79% of children whose parents make less than $50,000 a year have little to no swimming ability. That's according to the USA Swimming Foundation. But Associate Professor Michelle Macy says it's not just about socioeconomics.
When desegregation was coming together, white communities would fill in pools instead of allowing them to become desegregated. And we've got a lot of work to overcome in where pools are located, the accessibility of swimming programs, swimming club memberships inherently exclude certain populations.
At WJA Swim Club, a dozen boys commit to learning to swim for 5 weeks for free.
And take a deep breath in.
What's the best part about doing the swim club?
I think seeing them try so hard, and when they get it, or if they're afraid to come off the wall in the deep end, and then when they go and tread water and they're so happy, they have the biggest smiles, and they're all super excited for each other. So that's really great to see.
The swim club is run out of Lindsay's backyard. Instructors will change as the teens go to college, but Lindsay plans on coming home every summer and helping new waves of kids.
What would you say to anybody who's fearful of swimming?
If you're scared of anything, then you can keep doing it over and over again, so then you know what's going to happen and not to be scared of it anymore.
This program is offering more than swim lessons. Kids are getting life lessons, ones we all can learn from. With The Good Side, I'm Deborah Alfarone.
Good job.
And taking a live look from our sky cam, you can see the raindrops on the camera right there. Rachel Myers and Andrew Frieden continue to track Tropical Storm Ophelia, and we'll have the latest on this first alert weather day.
Andy Bashir is flat out lying.
I've never supported gender reassignment surgery for kids.
That is false. Bashir sided with the radical left, allowing young children to undergo permanent gender-changing surgery.
Those procedures don't happen here in Kentucky.
Reports prove that gender-changing surgeries were done at this Lexington facility. Andy Bashir caught lying again. What else is he lying about?
I told myself I was okay with my moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis symptoms. But then I realized that just okay isn't okay, and I was done settling.
If you still have symptoms of RA after a TNF blocker like Humira or Enbrel, Rinvoq is different and may help. Rinvoq is a once-daily pill that can dramatically relieve RA symptoms, including fatigue for some, and Rinvoq can stop joint damage.
Rinvoq can lower your ability to fight infections, including TB, serious infections and blood clots, some fatal, cancers including lymphoma and skin cancer, death, heart attack, stroke, and tears in the stomach or intestines occurred. People 50 and older with at least one heart disease risk factor have higher risks. Don't take if allergic to Rinvoq, as serious reactions can occur. Tell your doctor if you are or may become pregnant.
Done settling?
Ask your rheumatologist for Rinvoq.
And take back what's yours.
Learn how AbbVie could help you save.
And a live look outside this morning on our sky cam. Tropical storm Ophelia making its presence felt as it continues to roll up the East Coast, making landfall in North Carolina. We're also tracking a low-end tornado threat as we get later in the day. This morning, we continue our team coverage. Reporter Henry Graff giving us the latest on conditions. But first, meteorologists Rachel Myers and Andrew Frieden tracking the strong winds and rains inside the First Alert Weather Center. Rachel, you've been here all morning tracking this storm.
I don't know if I can hear myself either. So Rachel's microphone, I looked at her mic and it wasn't her fault. I see the green light on there. So Rachel's following orders here. Let's take it quickly here. Tropical storm Ophelia, and I'll take you through the graphics that Rachel was going to work you through. This is a storm system we just got. So the update has us down to 65 miles an hour. Are we going to go back to Rachel or stay on me?
You can go back to me.
Let's go back to Rachel. I think the camera's ready for you. There you
Oh. We are seeing a decent amount of rainfall out ahead of the center of this system. So that's what we've been tracking, but it really has been pretty manageable so far. We have seen some standing water. If you're getting out on the road still wanting to use caution, allot yourself a couple extra minutes to get where you're going. And it is breezy getting out the door as well, so grab the rain gear. I think we're going to see an increase in our rain rates here over the next hour to 2 hours. Tropical storm Ophelia is expected to track up the I-95 corridor, eventually pushing offshore again as a weaker system. As it does track into Virginia, I think it'll give us some gustier winds than what we're feeling right now. So do prepare yourself for that. And here's that heavier round of rain that we're watching. This is southern Virginia. As we head closer to northern Virginia, north of Richmond, we're seeing light scattered showers. I think this widespread area of some heavier downpours does start to move in as we head towards the top of the hour, 10:30, 11 o'clock. City of Richmond right now, just some light scattered showers. And then as we head towards Petersburg, we're seeing widespread light rain. Again, heavy downpours expected to pick up here shortly. And we could see some inland flooding with any heavy downpours as we head through the rest of the day today. But we're also watching some coastal storm surge flooding. And Andrew, you have a really cool photo here.
Yeah, there was a big high tide surge this morning. This is from our friend Chip Holt up in Deltaville, and this isn't something that's never happened before. When you get a surge like this, there are streets in low-lying portions of our coastal areas, Middlesex County in particular. This is Deltaville, where the water comes up. But the water came up quite high there this morning, and it'll likely be just as high, if not a touch higher, with the high tide cycle this afternoon. So if you're sitting on the bay or near the bay and you're watching, there's another high tide cycle this afternoon, which could be a little bit higher than what happened so far this morning. So there are two different kinds of warnings. And if you're watching, this is the first time that you've seen, first time that I've seen it, the first time the National Weather Service in Wakefield has issued these storm surge warnings. You can think of it basically as a coastal flood warning kind of ramped up a notch, 2 to 4 feet. And I saw some pictures that came in. I saw a good 3 foot above normal storm surge here. And it's not just a storm surge that is for right along the bay, but pretty far inland for our counties that, border against the Mattaponi River, the Pamunkey, the York, the Appomattox, and the James, even all the way into Petersburg and Hopewell. Now, we're not saying there's going to be big damage here in Petersburg and Hopewell, but the Appomattox is tidal there, right below the falls that spill into the western side of Petersburg. And in those areas, the water's up. So just be ready. You can go probably watch it relatively safely as long as you stay away from the water in the Tri-Cities. There has not been, as you heard Rachel say, unmanageable amounts of precipitation yet. That very heavy rain, though, we think is going to move in. And so we think our rain totals will start to build as we work our way closer to midday. Sometime in that 10 to 3 o'clock time frame, the Richmond Metro could get some downpours. It's happening right now in southern Virginia. Raven, over to you.
All right, Andrew, sounds good. Thank you. And continuing our team coverage, Henry Graff is live for us this morning in Richmond with a look at current conditions and what he's seeing out there on the roads. Henry, what are you seeing right now?
Raven, good morning to you. We've moved positions from where we were at the last half hour. Now here in the Oregon Hill community, this is Spring and Pine, if you're familiar. I'll step out of the way. You can kind of see generally what people are seeing in their neighborhoods as they wake up this morning. Look out the window, look out the door. Light rain right now here in the city of Richmond. Light winds as well. The trees here in this neighborhood certainly holding at this point in time. Virginia Department of Emergency Management, City of Richmond both have emergency centers now operating and active to help respond to whatever may happen over the course of the next couple of hours with this storm as it rolls through. In the city, we have a handful of trees down right now, about 5 of them, one of them out on Hill Road on the city's west end. Earlier this morning in a pretty residential neighborhood, almost like a driveway there being blocked at that point in time, but a downed tree and some lines there as well. And then the other issue we've been seeing this morning has been ponding on area roadways. We've seen that all over Richmond in different spots. And if you know those problematic spots, you know exactly what we're talking about. One here at Belvedere and Cumberland Street this morning. GRTC bus, other cars having a hard time navigating that ponding water right there in that area. But again, back out here live right now, it's relatively quiet. I mean, people are out here, by the way, people here walking the dogs. Folks are out on their morning runs. I talked to a driver who stopped by not long ago. I said, hey, how's the roads? How are things going? He was heading to the Veterans Hospital, and he told me, as long as you take it slow, as long as you take your time, you should be able to get to where you need to get if you do have to go out this morning. But of course, again, all of this is going to continue to pick up as the morning goes on. The city, the Virginia Department of Emergency Management, the governor's office, all monitoring the situation right now. And of course, trying to respond to any downed trees, power lines, and other issues that may arise over the next couple of hours. For now, we are live and on your side this morning here in the Oregon Hill section of Richmond. I'm Henry Greff, NBC 12 News.
All right, Henry, thank you. And some households in the Richmond area already without power because of Ophelia this morning. Here's a look at some of the data around Virginia right now. Dominion Energy reporting nearly 14,000 outages at the moment. Rappahannock Electric only reporting over 15. Northern Neck Electric reporting nearly 600 outages, and Southside Electric getting calls for over 35 power losses. Of course, as we learn more on the number of outages, we'll be sure to bring you updates as they come in. And crews have been out for the last 24 hours preparing for this storm. Chantel Davis has a closer look at all that's being done to keep our lights on.
Crews at Dominion Energy are already working 24 hours around the clock, all to make sure that they are ready for any potential outages that may occur.
It's all hands on deck.
That's the motto for Dominion Energy crews and other power companies across central Virginia, at least for the next 48 hours. Tropical Storm Ophelia is expected to bring heavy rain and strong winds throughout the weekend, a recipe for disaster when it comes to your power.
In an event like this, we've got everybody that we employ is working tomorrow, and we have a network of contractors that we work with who are prepared to assist as well.
Dominion Energy says crews prepare for weather events like this all year, trimming trees that might fall on power lines or replacing pieces of equipment. Those are just some of the things they do before a major storm hits.
Now, really what we're doing is staging. So we're looking at the storm path and trying to determine where resources will most be needed.
Dominion Energy encourages you to prepare for the storm, too, offering some safety tips you should be aware of.
Say something about generator safety. Every storm, if you own a generator, make sure that you are using it in a well-ventilated area.
Another pre-storm tip you can be aware of comes from the American Red Cross.
Recommend that people take a video or pictures of the exterior of your home. That's important for if you do experience any damages from this event, you have a record of what your home looked like before the event occurred, and that can help you as you move through the process of working with insurance after the storm is felt.
The American Red Cross also suggests that if you need prescriptions filled or medical devices charged, that you take care of that before the storm rolls in. Other power companies like Rappahannock Electric Co-op are also mobilizing teams on the eve of the storm.
Now, don't forget, if you have any downed trees or power outages, you can contact Dominion Energy or your local power company for further assistance. And if you need any help from American Red Cross, you can contact them for relief. On your side in Richmond, Chantel Davis, NBC 12 News.
All right, and on our golf cast, it's going to be a rainy and a windy day today, so it's really not the day for golf. Temperatures 60s, and we gave you the first alert yesterday that we are forecasting the potential for some scattered power outages. I just had a friend send me a note from Powhatan County. She has lost power, so it is happening. We're seeing power outages throughout the area, and winds could pick up along with that rain as we head through the next several hours. I'll time it out for you when we come back. Welcome back. Time now 9:42 on our Saturday morning. We're continuing to track the impacts we're feeling from Tropical Storm Ophelia. Right now we're seeing rain. A lot of you are probably walking out the door and you're thinking, oh, it's just our typical rainy, breezy day. But I do think those rain rates are about to pick up, meaning that we will see multiple rounds of heavier downpours beginning through the next couple of hours and then continuing all the way through this evening. And as the center of Ophelia does track up closer to Virginia, I think our winds will pick up a bit, and we're already seeing power outages. We could see more power outages, more standing water as we head through the rest of our Saturday. First alert Doppler radar, city of Richmond, light rain, breezy. South of Richmond into Petersburg, we're starting to see some heavier downpours, some more moderate rainfall happening now in Greensville County, Emporia, back into Brunswick. So traveling along I-85, I-95 south of Petersburg, you're going to run into a good amount of rain. So wanting to slow yourself down just a bit. Northern Neck, seeing some dry spots now, just a few scattered showers. We'll show you that hour-by-hour forecast when we come back from the next break. For now, over to you, Raven.
All right, sounds good, Rachel. Thank you. Well, continued shortage of commonly used kids' antibiotics is worrying parents here in the U.S. Amoxicillin is the most prescribed one in the country. It's typically used to treat children for strep, chest, sting, and sinus infections, and earaches. According to the FDA, the drug is still in short supply. Some analysts say the shortage is because of the drug's low price point. It's not profitable for manufacturers to make, so they focus on other drugs. Meanwhile, here is a live look outside of our studio. Andrew Frieden will have your complete First Alert forecast on our First Alert Weather Day coming right up after the break.
The watch in Moscow always get the mule. Vodka this good is an American jewel. Wheatley, so good I drink it neatly.
Good morning at 9:46 on a First Alert Weather Day. Inland and coastal flooding. We know the coastal flooding is occurring. Already occurred with the high tide cycle this morning. Likely will happen again this afternoon. Hopefully your property and your friends and family are okay with that. Water is pushing inland. The winds could gust to 40+ miles an hour. And although we don't have everybody without power, this isn't an Isabel or an Irene situation. There are some scattered power outages. We've seen them already. And we think that number will likely climb as we go into the middle of the day and into the afternoon. A little chance of tornadoes, and this is why we overlap the weather team overnight. We're going to keep somebody in the office through the day to keep you up to date here. There just might be a little chance of a spin-up tornado. Lots of clouds out there, lots of dreariness, and the storm surge forecast is 2 to 4 feet all the way up the Potomac River, up the Rappahannock, the tidal sections of all of our rivers in eastern Virginia, and the James River is tidal all the way actually to the I-95 bridge in Richmond, but there's not going to be a dangerous storm surge there. This is just to let you know the water is going to be going up all the way up the Appomattox River into the Tri-Cities. So there's a flood watch. So what does a flood watch mean? Does it mean everybody in here is getting flooding? No, it doesn't. It means basically that there's a chance that enough rain could fall to cause some creeks and streams to jump out of their banks and could be some localized flooding. It's going to be hard to hit a 5-inch or 6-inch rain total. It just might happen in somewhere if the rain bands line up just right. So everybody is under a flood watch. Let's just be alert as the rain rates pick up this afternoon. There might be some localized flooding, and you would see that on your weather app or us on TV talking about that as a localized flood warning or even a flash flood warning. So this area here is a eastern Virginia, marginal risk, low-end threat. There might be a spin-up tornado. Is there a tornado watch? No. Have we had many? Just one tornado warning. Actually, it was one cell that was warned twice. But this is not going to be, we think, a day with an outbreak of severe weather, but we're going to be watching, in particular, east of town, from the Potomac River down to the North Carolina state line as we roll into the middle of the day in the afternoon. But basically, that rain has been light so far, Tri-Cities and south. It's picking up in intensity. The center of the storm is still way down here in North Carolina, and that has to go all the way up toward the metro area in the Tri-Cities before we can slow the rain rates down, which we think will happen into the evening. So this could be a bit misleading because the location of the storm is still going to be south of 64 at 2 this morning, but the rain will likely be over by then. So today's forecast, 66 for the daytime high, lots of clouds, rain likely. In fact, the intensity picking up. It's raining right now south of town heavily. That band comes into the metro area and then just kind of sticks, and we have a rain chance that continues to roll through here as we head into the evening and even through about midnight. And those of you on the easternmost portion of Virginia may actually see a little bit less rain than those of us on I-95 and points east. The forecast for tomorrow, cloudy and breezy, 71 for the high, and check out the numbers. As today, by the way, first day of fall, began at about 2 in the morning. There are no signs of summer in the next 7 days, as your highs this week, featuring lots of clouds and easterly breeze, are going to be in the low 70s for the most part tomorrow through Friday. We're back with more coming up.
And a watch in Moscow always get the mule. Vodka this good is an American jewel. Wheatley is so good, I drink it neatly.
Get ready. Weekdays, 12 on your side expands with more news at 3 and 7.
At 3, get a first look at major stories in real time as they happen.
At 7, we dig deeper into stories in your neighborhood and how they impact you.
I'll give you first alert weather conditions where you live so you're prepared for whatever's outside your door.
From First Look at 3
to On Your Side tonight at 7.
Watch 12 News on any screen with more news than any station in Central Virginia.
Andy Bashir is flat out lying.
I've never supported gender reassignment surgery for kids.
That is false. Bashir sided with the radical left, allowing young children to undergo permanent gender-changing surgery.
Those procedures don't happen here in Kentucky.
Reports prove that gender-changing surgeries were done at this Lexington facility. Andy Bashir caught lying again. What else is he lying about?
Time now is 9:52. Learning to swim can save your life, but it's not just about surviving, it is about thriving. Deborah Alfarone introduces us to a teen helping kids float, freestyle, and flourish despite the odds.
When I was in the deep end, I thought I was going to lose control, that I was going to fall underwater, and nobody knew where I was, which had happened before.
10-year-old Nigel is swimming and splashing now, but he could have been one of the 4,000 people who drown every year in the U.S. In fact, according to the CDC, black children 10 to 14 years old are nearly 8 times more likely to drown in a pool than white kids. This may look like your average pool day, but there's more going on beneath the surface.
Ready, go.
Welcome to WJA Swim Club, where kids aren't just overcoming odds, they're overcoming their fears.
When I swam all the way to the diving board and back, I didn't need my swim training instructor's help, and that helped me face my fears because fear isn't going to do nothing but hold you back from completing your goal. You got to swim back to me, Dylan.
Lindsay Alisbaugh of Maryland has been swimming competitively since she was 6 years old, and she's never looked back. Last year, the teen decided she wanted to give back.
Great job. Okay, Dylan, ready?
She grabbed her friends and teamed up with the Washington Jesuit Academy, a tuition-free private school teaching boys from low-income communities.
Why did you start the swim club?
Because I wanted to share my love for swimming with people who weren't as privileged to have the opportunities that I had when I was little.
79% of children whose parents make less than $50,000 a year have little to no swimming ability. That's according to the USA Swimming Foundation. But Associate Professor Michelle Macy says it's not just about socioeconomics.
When desegregation was coming together, white communities would fill in pools instead of allowing them to become desegregated. And we've got a lot of work to overcome in where pools are located, the accessibility of swimming programs, swimming club memberships inherently exclude certain populations.
At WJA Swim Club, a dozen boys commit to learning to swim for 5 weeks for free.
And take a deep breath in. What's the best part about doing the swim club?
I think seeing them try so hard, and when they get it, or if they're afraid to come off the wall in the deep end, and then when they go and tread water and they're so happy, they have the biggest smiles, and they're all super excited for each other. So that's really great to see.
The swim club is run out of Lindsay's backyard. Instructors will change as the teens go to college, but Lindsay plans on coming home every summer and helping new waves of kids.
What would you say to anybody who's fearful of swimming?
If you're scared of anything, then you can keep doing it over and over again, so then you know what's going to happen and not to be scared of it anymore.
This program is offering more than swim lessons. Kids are getting life lessons, ones we all can learn from. With the good side, I'm Deborah Alfarone.
Good job. And here is a live look outside of our studios. New rain still coming down. Rachel Myers will have the final look at the forecast on this first alert weather day. Back to the break.
Andy Bashir is flat out lying.
I've never supported gender reassignment surgery for kids.
That is false. Bashir sided with the radical left, allowing young children to undergo permanent gender-changing surgery.
Those procedures don't happen here in Kentucky.
Reports prove that gender-changing surgeries were done at this Lexington facility. Andy Bashir caught lying again. What else is he lying about?
wash in Moscow always get the mule. Vodka this good is an American jewel. Wheatley is so good, I drink it neatly.